Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing Walter in the 5 minute pool on ICC. Let's open with e4. It is Friday, TGIF. Hope you guys are getting ready for a fun weekend. And I've had a busy week, as I said in my last video. Not a lot of time to do videos and other stuff I would like to do, but those are the breaks sometimes. And I'm actually hosting a party at my house tonight. I'm waiting for some of my friends to come over, and these Blitz videos are easy to do. However, if I get distracted and interrupted by someone ringing my doorbell, I might have to not record this one and post it. So if you're watching this, everything worked out fine. Okay, let's play c3. Walter's choosing a flexible setup. I'm playing a King's Indian attack style position against his French defense, which he transposed into like a Sicilian. And I think this setup is very reliable for black. I'm just feeling my way through the position. I might play h4 at some stage to try to assault black on the king side. I remember this player. They're never super high rated, but they're tough. I think I recall playing them in 5 and 15 minute before. So I'd like to begin maneuvering. I have a feeling he's going to play bishop a6. So do I play e5 and close the center right now? Maybe I should. Yeah, let's do it. So if he plays queen c7, I can play queen to e2 and defend the pawn on e5. d3 is a bit weak, but on the whole, I think I should be all right. I want to get on with my kingside counterplay, as I was describing. Probably knight f1 here is appropriate. I wonder how he's going to play on the queen side, if he's going to continue pushing his pawns, because he went halfway with b6. A lot of times they play b5 and try to make something happen. I feel okay about the development so far. Let's play h4 now, as planned. Yeah, he responds with h6. I'm going to go here and try for knight g4, looking to pressure the h6 pawn and also eyeing the f6 square. So now knight g4 seems good. Is there any reason to play something else like h5? No, I think knight g4 is appropriate. Let's do it. Yeah, and he's going on the defensive. Probably bishop f4 is good. So looking at his queen on c7, now knight f6 ideas are in the air. Knight f6 check. He might play queen e7, therefore, to try to escape this x-ray and also eye f6. But, yeah, I want to look for a time to play h5. I feel that would be very nice. Queen e3 comes to mind, but maybe d3 in that case. Knight g5 check looks flashy, but maybe it's not so great. He's not really doing anything. I'm just going to play this move. Just a semi-waiting move, guarding d3. Then my queen doesn't have to stay guarding the pawn at all times. Rook e8, okay. Kind of want to play h5 now. But if he plays g5, bishop back to c1, what have I accomplished? Maybe not much. Knight g5 is speaking to me as well, but I don't think it's sound. I think the fear here is that you spend too much time thinking and lose on time. Let's play h5. We're going to go ahead and push. Let's see if he takes it or pushes g5. I'm at least putting him to a decision. If g5, I'll pull the bishop back to c1. That's one nice perk of having played rook a d1. So now my rook isn't out of play here, and I didn't have to mess with my coordination by putting the bishop on e3 or d2. So perhaps next I can move this knight out of the way and play for f4. I need to try to create open lines on the king side. And he just lashes out with that move. Okay, I'm going to take and probably put my knight on e5. Which knight to put there? If I do this one, he has knight takes h5, but that doesn't matter because I have knight takes g5. Also, the knight is hanging on c6. So I'd be happy with a trade here. This g6 square is weak. I get the feeling f5 was not in his best interest, but who knows? I'll probably still continue with f4, unless there's a better plan. Maybe bishop h3. My bishop is not doing a heck of a lot on g2, so if I play bishop h3, then at all times, yeah, I kind of like this move, especially now with this rook on c8. At all times, I might be threatening knight g6, bishop takes e6. I'm in a pin myself if I do that on the e-file with my bishop in front of my queen, but I can perhaps navigate that. We'll see. Okay, now let's go f4. So if he takes, we're taking with the bishop, and again, I'm having a nice long look at this rook on c7. That just drops a piece, does it not? I guess he just blundered. Yeah, he just resigned. Strange, because you would think that if he thought knight takes h5 was possible, he would have done it on one of the prior moves, you know, like right here. Although maybe he played rook c8 to cover against knight c6 with the fork. But a blind spot from my opponent. I do like my position quite a bit, though, right here. I was expecting the game to go... see if I can go into examine mode. So right here, after f4, I was expecting it to go g takes f4, bishop takes f4. Now I'm threatening knight g6, hitting his queen, and if his queen moves, bishop takes c7. So this rook does not have an easy life. Rook b7 maybe, but looks very awkward. So before I turn on the engine, let's just flick through this game. So when the center gets closed up, after e5, you often have this scenario where white will be attacking on the king side, and black should try to organize central or queenside counterplay. If you think of the King's Indian defense, where black is the one attacking white's king, and white is trying to attack on the queenside or in the center generally, especially in the classical lines, this is the reverse of that, the King's Indian attack, so white trying to employ that same strategy. And I've used this as a weapon on and off throughout my chess career. Back when I was an e4 player, I played this every once in a while against the French especially. I found it doesn't work so well against other lines like a Sicilian or the Caro-Kann, even though people still play it. But against the French, I always thought it's a nice weapon. So my impression is that black just didn't create enough problems for me on those two areas of the board I mentioned, the queenside and the center. And he allowed me quite a bit of play on the king side. You know, once I get in h4, knight g4, he's got weaknesses with the f6 square being loose, h6 being hard to guard. He had to go passive with knight g8. Somehow I expected him to put the knight on f5, but the knight on g8 does guard those two squares. Bishop f4, standard move. I think a position like this is critical. We've both built up. White's position building up in hopes of an offensive, and black just kind of sitting tight. And after h5, maybe he should take the pawn. Or after g5, bishop c1, perhaps he should just sit there, because I really feel f5 weakened his position to his detriment. I don't believe white is threatening anything at the moment. I wasn't entirely sure how I was going to proceed if he plays some random move. Like, say he plays b5 here, I don't know. I probably would have moved this knight and then played for f4, similar to what I did in the game. But even if that happens, let's just say that occurs, and he takes, and I take with the bishop. What then? I mean, I'm opening some lines, but he's holding fast. So when I add the engine, I'm going to look for ways he could have improved, perhaps right around here, because I really do feel f5 was a weakening move. Then the e6 pawn is backward. I have a nice outpost on e5. His structure altogether just becomes more vulnerable. And here I was able to play some simple moves that kept him under fire. So let's go back and have a look at the engine. Yeah, a lot of players play just d5, but after e4, e6, d3, certainly black can play c5 and take the position into a King's Indian attack Sicilian style setup, or closed Sicilian if you will. I've played this setup that black played many times. I have some experience from the black side. So d5. I don't want to trade queens, so he's threatening perhaps d takes e4, d takes e4, queen takes d1. So knight bd2 makes sure that the d file will be blocked if he takes. So castle, I played rook e1, then he went b6. I played e5. So with this move, as I said, I'm trying to kind of cut the board in half and make it clear that I can play on the king side. I don't have to worry about any central tension. So closing up lines in the center in hopes of focusing on the king side exclusively. Queen c7, queen e2. You can see the engine thinks that black's position is perfectly fine. Bishop a6, knight f1, standard maneuver. He didn't touch the c or the d pawns. This is a type of pawn setup. They call it the padlock setup, where whichever pawn he pushes, I can push the other pawn to keep the position closed. So let's say back here, if he wants to go c4, you know, hoping for take and then maybe bishop takes or something, opening lines, well, I can play d4. And likewise, if he plays d4, I can play c4 and keep it closed if I like. So the padlock is a valuable way to ensure that you don't open lines on the side of the board where you don't want to. So rook d8, and I played h4. I have noticed that in this line, you can't truly trust the computer evaluation. I mean, this evaluation, it's dead equal. It's not very useful for either player. So it's just a position. I guess if it's dead equal here, I would slightly prefer white because I'm always attacking his king and he's attacking like an area of the board. And as it stands now, he's not even attacking anything. He hasn't got on with his queenside and center play. So maybe that eval is going to creep up. Yeah, knight 1 to h2. Played king here. I played the knight to g4. He doesn't want to play h5 as a reaction to this because that allows knight g5 check and maybe this knight coming into f6. I feel this could get bad in a hurry for him. So he played knight g8. That's the top move according to the computer. And what if knight f5? Then knight f6 check. And he probably does not want to part with the dark square bishop. Yeah, that's too valuable of a defender. So king h8, bishop f4, d4. And here again you see even the engine wants to keep the lines closed. So c4, bishop b7, a3. So I've got this knight on f6, but I'm not crushing him yet. I'd still like to open lines. So instead he played knight g8. I played bishop f4. He played queen e7. Yeah, and here I'm trying to work on this. I have a tendency in a good position to spend a lot of time trying to find the knockout blow and the cleanest way to execute my attack or whatnot. And I felt myself doing that here. There's not anything direct. I mean, I'm not crashing through on f6 or h6 or, I mean, knight g5 check crossed my mind, but I don't think this is a great idea, giving up potentially two minor pieces. Yeah, it probably doesn't even work. I can't even win his rook on d8. So, point is, I don't see anything direct, so I need to play these types of moves, like rook a d1, faster. I need to make practical decisions, especially in a blitz game. Realize I have a good position, but not like overstressed trying to find a knockout. And this took me, what? Yeah, almost 20 seconds. I probably could chop that down a little bit. It is a good move according to the computer. It's helpful, just guarding d3. And here I went ahead and played h5. Yeah, engine likes that too. So key moment for black. Should he take or play g5? I don't think he can ignore it. Maybe he could let me take on g6. But taking or pushing seems the most obvious. So if he takes, I was just going to go back and then probably try to play knight h4 and win the h5 pawn. He's still worse here. So he prefers this instead. And I played bishop c1. Bishop e3 may be okay as well. And now f5. Okay, so this was the move that I criticized because I felt like it gave me unnecessary play. And just sitting there and not doing anything is one of the hardest things to do in chess. But a lot of people are not comfortable just standing still in a position. They feel like they have to be doing something. And maybe he fell victim to that mentality here and decided, well, I'm just going to lash out and play f5 and hope for the best. But yeah, you can see what the computer wants to do. Just king h8, basically a nothing move. Maybe helpful, shielding his king in some cases. But this challenges white to find a plan. I mean, how do I break through? I can't sack on g5. He's got that covered. Sacking on h6 doesn't work. f6 is covered. So I think I would have probably done this, what I was talking about here, and play f4. But now f5 is stronger, according to the computer. Yeah, because my knight that was on f3 is now diverted from the e5 square. So he needed to do something like that. I'm not really convinced with what the computer is recommending. Like bishop d2, I don't know why I would play that. I think it was also saying A3, which does make some sense, trying to go B4 maybe. So I look at this position, and it's obvious to me white's better, but I might be burning time on the clock, and I may not even come up with a good plan here. But instead, he did the job for me and played F5. I take en passant, of course. Knight takes, and now we jump in right here. He took. So H5 is guarded. We're threatening knight C6, sometimes knight G6. Difficult position for black. Thought about F4, but bishop H3 seemed like a, I don't know, almost equally good move. Doesn't cost me anything to play this either. Targeting E6. And here he can play knight E4, trying to attack this knight. It seems dangerous though, right? Knight G6. I guess I still can't even take this knight after his queen moves, but this looks artificial. It looks like his knight is just going to be visiting on E4. I don't think it's going to be causing any damage. So rook C7, and now I went ahead and played F4. Yeah, and then he blundered the piece. So best is G4, just giving up a pawn. What if takes? Bishop takes is very strong. Yeah, threatening knight G6. And if he tries to run away with the rook somewhere, knight G6, probably followed by bishop takes E6, I imagine. Yeah, just something like this. I am putting myself in a pin, though, so I have to be careful. But his queen just doesn't have a lot of squares. So if queen b7, yeah, queen b7 I can take here, can't I? And I'm on his queen. So tough position for black after f4, but I think earlier he had some chance if he didn't play f5. Anyways, if you are looking for a weapon against the French, the King's Indian attack is one setup I can recommend. And I have played this before a couple times on my channel, so I tag all my Blitz videos and standard videos by opening. So if you search King's Indian attack on my channel, you'll find more examples of this. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a good weekend. I'll try to make a video or two over the weekend, maybe a live stream, we'll see. And hope you guys have a good night or day wherever you are. All right, talk to you later. Bye.